Hi, an everyday average wakeboarder. I'm here to share my thoughts with you about the new Slingshot 2011 R.A.D boot compared with the previous model, the Slingshot 2009 through 10 D3. You could be using the best wakeboard in the world, but if you do not have good, comfortable boots, you will not be able to take full advantage of that wakeboard under your feet. Every brand knows how important a comfortable fit is to their riders. Slingshot uses a removable, heat moldable liner. Just follow the instructions either in the box or on their video on their website and stick it in the oven for some home-baked comfort goodness. Or you can just ride out of the box. It's very comfortable that way too, which is the choice I will be using. I think they're just fine that way, and I'll most likely be sharing my boots with others anyway. Getting the right size of boot is critical, especially when you're using closed-toed boots. And unfortunately, size is a very subjective thing, especially in footwear. And wakeboard boots are not exempt from this rule. So let's check out the size. The R.A.D boot is a USA size 11. The D3 is a USA size 12. Now, despite the numerical size difference, the interior space is exactly the same size. They both measure 10 3/4 inches. Let's weigh the R.A.D boot. 2 pounds 6 ounces. The D3 comes in right at 3 pounds. As you can see, Slingshot is cut over half a pound in the Slingshot R.A.D from the D3. Slingshot has been able to reduce the weight not only by removing the hardware from the center and distributing it throughout the perimeter of the boot. The bottom of the boot has this durable rubber to protect the board, and underneath the rubber you can feel that Slingshot has hollowed out the plate in a few spots to reduce the weight of the plates as well. Slingshot was able to shave off a ton of weight by removing the hardware from underneath the foot. Not only did this shave a lot of weight by removing the hardware, but it also allowed for the rider's foot to be closer to the board, which should increase the control that you have over your edges. And there's also the nice added benefit that you're an inch closer to the board when you go to grab the board. The previous models, using the 4-hole mounting system, though this might have provided great connection to the board, the only place that there is actual true hardware is in the center of the boot. The toe and the heel is all made of very dense EVA foam, and the interior footbed has a very mobile piece of plastic, so this design actually allowed for significant heel and toe lift. One of the things Slingshot has done this year with the R.A.D boot for 2011 is they've taken the base plate and given it a slight bend so that when you place it onto the board, the toe and the heel will be the first thing to touch the board, and once you screw the boot into the board, it will snug things up so there is minimal heel and toe lift. Comparing the liners, the obvious difference is that the Slingshot R.A.D has a footbed attached. There's also the lacing system, traditional style lacing system on the liner. It is removable if you'd like. You just undo this nut and take it off, but if you're one who plans to be using this boot at the cable or winching, you might want to utilize its ability to walk in it and give it a good tightening. It's a lovely little Velcro area to store your lace. Me personally, I took off the laces but left this a piece attached to the rougher Velcro to protect it from chafing the materials. The way it was put together was a little bit different. There's some stitching across the toe here, up and around, And then on the previous model, stitching is further back here, which creates the more narrow look of the D3, but it's a little bit more rounded for the R.A.D. On the inside, they're both about the same. We have some good J-bars or heel kidneys down inside, and on the D3, about the same. The R.A.D might be a tad bit thicker on the liner, which I personally am very happy about. Getting the liner out of the boot this year is a little bit more difficult, obviously due to the additional footbed. Key things to remember is to get the boot as loose as possible. Make sure it's removed from the locking teeth. Grab those laces, pull it all the way until the dongle stops. Pull the tongue out, and then you can get a good grasp and yank the boot out. So this is a good thing for some of those that have complained about the liner coming out too easily. This liner stays in much better than the previous models. Now, this might be a concern on the other end for easy removal for those who wish to keep the liner on their foot for the cable parks, for winching, but as long as you get this really good and open, and if it's wet, it slides in much easier. Sliding the boot in dry, you can put your hand inside, palm up, and then make sure you lift your fingers up toward the sky to arch the toe of the boot upwards. So you kind of do this motion through the boot if you're inserting the liner with your hand. Alright, I've got the boot wet here. Show you one more time with the wet. Slides right in. Squeak, slide in, out. Simple, simple. So if you try these on in the store, you think it's too hard to pull that liner out, once they're wet, it's not too bad. If you're like me and you'll be using these boots mainly only for wake, removing the liner is still a great option, because then you can take it out, dry the boot more effectively. You won't have any stench. These liners, to me, are very well built. How they integrate the lacing, the attachment of the footbed is all very sound. I cannot peel anywhere the purple cush, the footbed, from the liner. It's very well attached. You're not going to be having any problems anytime soon pulling these liners in and out of the boots,